Hey gardeners, back at you with another video.
Count of three. 1, 2, 3. Hey gardeners! Welcome back to my channel. Michelle is with me again today for another video, and she just made me blonde. So good job, Michelle.
Anytime.
Yes. So in today's video, we are going to talk about the things that we absolutely hate about the reptile community or hobby, because there are a lot of things that we complain about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yes. There are many things that we love. We don't want to be super just like negative and angry because we met each other through this hobby. We obviously love our animals. There's many good things about it. But there are a lot of annoying things that happen, so we are going to cover those today.
Let's go through the pet peeves.
Yes.
No pun intended.
Number 1, people who don't research the care of an animal before buying them. That is
problem.
Common sense, though, but that's like, I feel like the biggest issue.
Yeah, impulse buying, and I mean, it's just not practical. You should make sure you do your research beforehand, and also don't read one care sheet and call it a day. Do multiple sources.
Yep. So many people just like go to a pet store. They're like, oh, a chameleon, cool, I'm gonna bring it home. Don't be that person, because the animal will end up suffering.
Yeah.
There's like no doubt about it. So number 2, people that brag about how many animals that they have and how much that they cost. The numbers game, basically. I talked about this recently. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I don't get the whole numbers. It's just kind of like a brag fest. I don't see what other point there is to it other than just I have this exponential amount of animals. What else is there to it?
And a lot of people, because they have a big number, they think that it makes them like more validated as a pet keeper, and they're like, well, I have 100 snakes, so I know how to take care of them better than you. And that's not always true, because they could be not taking care of them properly and just have a larger number than someone that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah, plus if you're constantly getting new animals, you're not focusing on the ones you just got, and there's a lot of research that goes into it even after you've gotten the animals. So if you're constantly focusing on new animals, you're not really digging deep into the care of the previous animals you've gotten.
Yeah, that's not cool. We don't like these things.
No, not a fan.
No. Number 3, pet stores or YouTubers with unsuitable setups that encourage keepers to do the same. So like this is very typical whenever you go to like a Petco or a PetSmart, you see these enclosures for these animals that are not adequate whatsoever, and that makes the people purchasing the animals think that, oh, well, that's how they have it set up, so that's how I should do it. And then there are other people like YouTubers that are doing the same thing, not doing their research, not caring for the animal properly, and then showing others how to take care of their animals in the wrong way.
If you want to have an audience, like, you're going to have high standards towards you. And that's just a part of it. I understand that everybody makes mistakes. I've made plenty myself, but I mean, you got to grow from those mistakes. But you also have to be conscious that you're setting a standard to whether it be thousands or millions of people, and those people could be people just getting into the hobby, and they see you as the example to be set. So you just got to be conscious about, you know, it's not just about you when you're on a huge platform, it's also how your influence spreads.
Absolutely. You nailed it.
Nailed it!
Number 4, people that care more about breeding and selling the animals for money and don't care where the animals are going or who they're selling to.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Like,
yeah.
I know breeders can't, you can't like interrogate the person you're giving the animal or people that's buying the animal, but you can get somewhat of a feel. It's not
you can get an understanding when someone has no clue what they're doing. They're like, oh, this looks really cool, I want this, and they don't even like know what the animal's name is or something like that. They're like, here you go.
Major red flag.
Yes.
What is this called? Oh, I'll buy it.
Exactly. That is a huge red flag. But there's so many other things like that where you can totally see that the people just don't really understand the care, or they're just like going to do the bare minimum, and they're just like, well, I want the money, so here you go anyway.
Yeah.
So that's not cool. I don't enjoy when breeders are like that, because it should be more about the animals and not so much about the money.
Like, for example, when I breed my tokay geckos and Halmahera geckos, I'm not going to be selling them to people who have never dealt with a similar species before, just because for somebody just getting into reptiles, those two species, and that may not be the best choice. Well, they're not the best choice, but so I'm just going to make sure that the person has a little experience under their belt before they jump into something they may not know what they're getting into.
You're just so responsible.
I try my hardest.
That's literally exactly why people ask me to breed my chameleon, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool, but like, there are so many people that want to buy chameleons because they're cool, and it's like the only lizard they know what it is, and they're very difficult to take care of, and I just don't trust the people, and it would be so hard to find good homes for all of them. So yep, just being responsible.
Yeah.
It's such a difficult thing to do in life.
We're a hobby. It's a hobby that has to be self-policed, so we need to make sure that we're doing our best to make sure these animals get the best care they can.
Yes. He's just staring at your face.
He really is.
He always does that. Okay, number 6, people who collect rescues and ask for money to maintain their rescue.
Yeah, that's a problem.
This has been coming up a lot lately.
Yeah, you can't take in an animal and expect other people to be there. I mean, what if you don't raise enough money and it needs to go to the vet or it needs an emergency surgery or something? That is so unfair to the animal to depend on other people for it to recover.
It seems like a lot of people are loosely throwing the word rescue around to basically collect more animals and call it a rescue when they are basically still asking for money because they can't maintain those animals on their own anyway.
And with regular rescues, like one that's actually registered as a non-for-profit, they gauge how much money they have and then they go rescue an animal. That's why a lot of rescues get overfilled and they refuse to take in more animals because they know if they do, they won't be able to afford their care. So,
just being responsible.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
dare they?
How dare they?
So number 7, people that ask for a veterinarian diagnosis of their sick animal over the internet. We both get this on a daily basis.
Of prolapses I've been
sent. You get the prolapses. I'm very lucky I don't get those.
I'm like the reptile prolapse queen. I don't know why they all send them to me.
But seriously, people, if you think your animal is sick or injured, go to a vet. We are not a veterinarian, and even if we were, we can't help you over the internet. They need to be examined physically in an office somewhere by someone that knows what they're doing, and that's not us.
There's no one that can 100%. Sometimes if an animal has mites, you can be like, oh, that looks like it has mites.
Yeah, there are helpful things that we can help with, but most of the time it's like, no, you just need to see a vet.
Yeah, if they have internal parasites, you're not going to be able to always tell that just by looking at a picture of them. Yeah. That requires something like a fecal exam, and we can't do that
through the internet. So yeah, I mean, we both love helping people as much as we can. That's why we're here. But there are a lot of times that people literally want a diagnosis for their sick animal, and that's just not something that we're capable of doing.
And then when you tell them to go to the vet, they get mad.
Because it costs money and they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So then don't get the animal.
Yeah.
That's just another part of being a responsible pet owner.
You need to be prepared. Even if it's taking $5 to $20 out of every paycheck and putting it in a jar just in case fund for your animals, then so be it. But you can't just expect everything to be fine. Even if you have a perfectly healthy animal, accidents can happen, and it's good to be prepared because when it does happen, you don't want to wait around and let the animals suffer.
Yeah. Call it a rescue and ask for donations.
Yeah.
So I believe you put number 8.
Chain pet stores that don't sell the proper equipment for the reptiles they sell.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Now, I specifically mentioned chain pet stores because that's where a lot of beginners will go to find their reptiles. Not everybody knows about breeders and everything at first. So, for example, my local PetSmart, they sell bearded dragons, but they do not sell the proper UVB for them. They have coil bulbs and not the linear tube bulbs. So that, to me, obviously they're recommending the coil bulbs, and that's just not okay with me because that's not proper lighting for them at all. So I'm just...
They used to have them too, which is so annoying.
Yeah, they did.
Because now they don't.
And I've mentioned it to them. I've said, hey, can you guys like put these back in stock again? And they haven't. And it's been like a year since I mentioned it. So I'm just kind of like, at this point.
And then they're always like, buy the reptile sand for your bearded dragon, the calcium sand.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's a no for me, dog.
That was like when
not happening.
When I did that video, calling pet stores and asking for bearded dragon advice. That so many of them recommended calcium sand, which is another important reason why you should do your research. Yeah. Because you can't always rely on the employees.
Weren't they also recommending the bearded dragon pellets for their diet?
Yeah. Yeah, those little like orange pellets they sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Don't do that. So number 9.
Using myths and information to take shortcuts with care. So an example of this being people saying, oh, ball pythons live in termite mounds, so they feel comfortable in the smallest enclosure you could possibly put them in. That has been, from the research I've looked into, they don't live in termite mounds, really, so that would be qualified as a myth. So to spread that kind of myth for the convenience of being able to put it in a small enclosure is not okay.
Yeah, people do that all the time to make it seem like what they're doing is okay, and they come up with like excuses, but it's not based on fact.
People say like, oh, there's an enclosure that's too big for an animal. In some cases, I get, like, I wouldn't put a crested gecko in like a room-size enclosure, but theoretically, if you had enough food spots for it, enough foliage, you could do it. It's just not practical whatsoever. But I mean, there's no such thing as too big. You have to just have enough enrichment in there, hides, heating spots, all of that stuff, and they should do fine.
Again, that just has to do with doing research.
Yeah.
And then number 10?
People who treat reptiles like toys to get a lot of views.
That's so cool when people do that.
I just actually recently saw a video of somebody, they had their bearded dragon sitting up and its tail was under it, so all the pressure was being put on their spine, and they were like dancing around with the bearded dragon, and people were saying something about it. They were just like, oh, but it's so cute and whatnot. No, that's not okay. Like, reptiles cannot express pain like humans do, or mammals, and reptiles are actually really good at hiding their pain, because when they show pain in the wild, it shows that they're vulnerable to predators. So reptiles are really good at hiding being uncomfortable. So
it's so frustrating that the videos that always go viral are always the ones where people clearly are not taking proper care of their animals and they're mistreating them.
Yeah, I saw this horrific video of somebody putting a leopard gecko in one of those cars that you pull back and they shoot forward, and it like ran into a wall with the leopard gecko on it.
Oh my god.
That is so not okay. That's
so beyond stressful for that animal.
Yeah. Is getting the views worth stressing your animal to death? That's what you need to ask yourself.
Yeah, and then the chameleon always reaching for the bubbles. Everyone's like, oh, it's so cute. It's like, no, the chameleon's literally like so desperate just to climb on something to get away. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah, and whether it's your intention or not and you do that, you could be encouraging other people to do it. Yep. Like, young kids may see that and be like, oh, I can do that too. That looks fun or cute. And they may mimic the same thing, which is just not okay.
Those videos should not go viral. Who is making these viral?
Right? We need to hunt them down.
We need to find them. So that is 10 things that we absolutely hate. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any other things that you hate that you want to mention, please mention it. I feel like it's important to talk about these subjects just so that way we can promote change and more awareness, so that way people don't keep doing these things.
Yeah.
So,
and if you have any solutions to any of these problems or suggestions, please leave them down below, because we gotta stick together and see how we can change the hobby for the better.
Yes. You said it, girl. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.